Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I want to talk about uh, maybe getting more out of your tarot. You may be a card reader, you may be drawn to tarot, mystery, magic as a tool to develop your psychic abilities, and more. And this is definitely about, there's a lot of people kind of misusing the tarot deck. Is it wrong? No. And are they getting what they want out of it? I would say yes. But then, if you really observe and take a look at people doing card readings, you'll notice, uh, they might be geared towards love and relationship, but you also notice they have other deck of cards that are becoming popular. Oracle cards, that are devoted completely with relationships. And it will have like a sentence like, he's cheating on you, or danger, or addiction, obsessive, dark tendencies, shadows being revealed, or caution, and so it's really a cool invention to blend and work with different decks, have multiple decks. But honestly, those are for these add-ons. That's what they are. These embellishments, these add-ons, these extra tools are because you don't know how to use the original set of tools. Your, you know, and so there's a whole bunch of regurgitated information on the tarot. You know, uh, multiple books giving you a list of general keywords that the cards mean. You know, a reverse definition, etc., etc. And so people are well meaning and good intending, but honestly, I think there's that saying, the path to hell is lead with good intentions, or there's no good deed that goes unpunished. And so I feel like that really shows up with tarot. And it's not the cards, it's the reader. And so when people get too into their brand, too into their business, too focused on their truth, you know, uh, then you narrow the scope. You shorten the bandwidth. You're so dialed in one direction, you're missing all these other possibilities. So that is the introduction. The reality of tarot is has been changed over the time. The Celtic cross, that's not even Celtic. That's the blending of two card spreads into one, you know. The additional playing cards added to the tarot deck. The court cards added to the playing cards, then added to the tarot deck. Here we are, a bunch of cards, a bunch of symbols, okay? But now, let's move past all that. So you want to take your card reading abilities to the next level. You actually want to use the cards to develop your own psychic abilities. There's a few things that have to happen. You have to be familiar with the cards. So I would suggest sticking with the original, the Rider-Waite tarot deck. or the Aleister Crowley Tarot deck, the two originals. You could say even Aleister's isn't so original, but it's made its way there as an original. And the reason why I say this is because no matter how many decks you have, almost all the decks are based on the Rider-Waite deck. And so it offers you a very structured way to look at the tarot deck. And the images are so clear, so basic. The images go deep into your brain really fast. And they have been used, I would dare say, for centuries. So you get that collective benefit of everyone that's used the deck. That image is branded into the collective consciousness versus a new stylized version like a fairy deck or the cat deck or the dragon deck. Yeah, they're all tarot, but with these modifications, it blurs the intensity. It blurs the original image. So it creates static. So if you're really wanting to get clear messages, stick with the Rider-Waite. It's the most powerful deck because it's so clear, it's been used for so long, and most decks are based off of that. Okay? If you really can't stand that deck, I would suggest the Aleister Crowley deck. But whatever deck you choose, that is going to be the foundation of your tarot system. That's what you're building, the basic structure. That's the architecture of the house you're building, of the building. So if you keep changing it, you never get past the architecture. You never actually build the building. You never complete it. You're changing tools, you're changing systems. And since we're on that subject, same with finding your magical path, finding your education. Yes, at first you might want to play around, but then you really got to stick with one, build it up, because that becomes your foundation. Then you can add other styles, you could branch out after that. So the original blueprint was, like a square house, okay? And then you're building it and it looks great and you got all the basic parts there. Now, you're really into circles. You can add, you could paint circles on the walls of the square house and it's going to stay there, but it's founded on that square house. That's what I'm saying. Instead of breaking it down mid building and then try to make a circle and then now it doesn't turn out right. It's half circle, half square house. So, okay, enough of that talking. Your card deck and tarot is starting to speak to you when you dream about it. Okay? When you notice thoughts and ideas coming together and a card image pops up in your mind. So imagine the universe wants to talk to you. And it's, doesn't always use English. It doesn't use a human created language like that. Images speak deeper. What is a tree? It's a three-dimensional image. So an image is so much more direct than a few steps down the line, like letters. Those are symbols too and images, but they're more symbolic, representing that thing. Where an image, like you actually draw the tree, more of the essence of that tree, more likeness, more quality is there. So the image is a reinterpretation of the actual thing, but it kind of possesses that quality so much more. Like you just like how like your name might be Amy. How many other Amy's are there? But then now you write that word with your favorite color. Well, now you've narrowed so many Amy's down. It's easier to focus and concentrate and express you so we can identify that more with you. Then let's say, you put a pair of shoes on it, your shoes, and you put a wig on it, your color of hair, and you put a hat on it. So now we have this caricature of letters and then someone might walk by, someone who knows you and reads that and sees all that and go, oh, I know exactly who that Amy is. That represents her so well. I'm so dialed in, I'm so focused. So, even though this is on tarot, you can see how this is magic. When you're working your altar, when you're creating a sigil, what did we just learn? An image, like a hieroglyph, an image like a sculpture, an image like a photo is more linked, more psychically bonded, more actually that. The this and the that are more that and that. And so it's more potent. It's not as potent when it turns into like a geometrical shape, or a word like the English language with the English symbols, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. There are more abstractions. So may not. So things have to happen. You have to be in connection with the universe. You have to be in connection with yourself. And you have to be in connection with the symbols and images, the deck of cards, your ritual tools. And you have to be so familiar with your set of symbols, with your tools, that if it's like an extension of you. So that's pretty deep. That's a $1,200 lesson right there. A lot of people study magic. A lot of people do cards for years and years. And yet, they're not understanding how linked you are to your cards to you. And it's through this link that the psychic development happens and the channeling happens. Without the link, without you could say, sympathy magic, the empathy, without it there, the personalization, the psychic cords are cut. So if you're not really resonating with your tools, whether it's for a ritual, if you're not resonating with your teacher, if you're not resonating with me, the psychic link is cut, and and then you don't get the fullness of the information. You get surface level understanding. You don't get the depth. So when you don't get it, you fill in the gaps. What do most people fill it in? With their opinion, with their limited experience of their life, with conjecture, with their own perspective, with cultural things that are popular. So the gaps in the transmission of information are filled with bullshit. Okay? They're filled with quotes, meaningful ideas, things that sound true, things that sound sweet, new age mumbo jumbo, archaic Victorian magic mumbo jumbo, you know, religious garbage. So, understanding you're going to fill in the gaps with garbage, and you can have less gaps by that link. Okay. So, everything is energy, everything is frequency, you know. Okay. But now it needs to convert from pure consciousness to frequency and energy as information to you. So there has to be a two-way communication system going on. That is the image. That is the deck of cards. Those are the symbols, universal symbols, whatever you use for your rituals. So there's this co-mingling happening. Is the universe messing with you? Are you messing with the universe? Who started the phone call? Did you text at the same time? Was the universe thinking about messaging you and you picked up the phone, your tarot deck, started shuffling / dialing in? Hello? And then, yeah, I'm talking. And so telecommunications is a really good example, is a really good reflection of how tarot works, you know, how psychic abilities work. So you can totally look at this in a scientific way. You can look at it in an artistic, creative way too. You have to be in touch with your muse, with what you consider source energy. And I'm going to have to say, if you believe, you know, we got to take the big G word out and the big J word out. Okay? Those are abstractions from that source of knowledge and source of power. So put the deities aside, put religion aside, put mystical knowledge aside. Here you are. Once again, here you are. So reach out with just your being and feel you are a part of something greater. Maybe a greater being, and you feel it, and you feel that power, and you feel that mind, you feel that consciousness. That's dialing in. That's getting in alignment for the psychic channeling process. You know, you're dialing in literally when you choose to tap in, feel. So your body is kind of required in this dimension. Okay? And your body anchors you, creating the magnet, and you can receive and transmit frequencies. So the other thing that goes wrong is people aren't grounded enough. They're too busy trying to channel ancestors, guides, ascended masters, and all that new age stuff, okay? That was all new age. You know, that was all from secret society stuff. The cards themselves are the guide. The cards themselves are the teacher, are the master. They're the bridge, they're the medium. It is a physical representation of a psychic bridge connecting you to the knowledge and the power. When you realize this, you don't need to waste your time. You don't have to be a psychic. You have to be smart, okay, to use the cards. The cards are there so you don't have to talk to guides. You don't have to talk to angels. You don't have to summon the dead. You're not an oracle. You're not a legitimate psychic. You're not a legitimate oracle. If you were, you wouldn't use those tools. You'd be like, I can see all these different universes. I can see all this information with my own 2 eyes. So these cards are an abstraction. I don't want the cards. You know, your relationship with source, your ability to be multidimensional, as New Agers call it, is so strong, the cards are obsolete. It's going backwards. The cards are for people who aren't fully developed or naturally born oracles. You know you're an oracle when the gods come and talk to you naturally. There's no psychic development process. There's no building of psychic abilities. You live kind of in a different reality. You're like, whoa. Okay? It's like people who are really aligned with spirits, they just see them. I happen to be aligned with gods, so sometimes I receive visitations from gods. And it doesn't make me any special or nothing. And the gods aren't fixing our problems, okay? So whether they come, whether they go, whether they stop in and say hi, they're not ever saying, they're never telling me what to do. They're never advising me, okay? It's a huge warning right there. Do you need advice and advising? Do you need someone to hold your hand through life? Is life that scary? Come on. So, no. Okay, they usually just stop by, you know? But anyways, so let's now get more. Kind of went on a tangent there. We kind of expanded a lot. And now let's bring it back in. The tarot is part of the magical system. Because it's part of a magical system, you can learn magic and the full system of the Western mysteries through the use of the tarot deck. But because most people aren't in legitimate magic schools, that's when tarot cards become fortune-telling cards. But so if you get a little education in some Western mystery magic, read a few books put out by the Golden Dawn, I would definitely suggest Aleister Crowley, though, as well, to fill in the blanks of the Golden Dawn and get a full panoramic view of what Western mystery school is about. Why Western mystery? The tarot and Western mystery go together. They've always been together. It wasn't like Western mystery decided to add tarot. The tarot symbols and the use of the cards is the Western mystery tradition, okay? The Eastern tradition is the chakra system, yoga, and the Kabbalah. The universal Western mystery school system is tarot, numerology, astrology, Kabbalah, and yoga. It's all of that, okay? It's universal, it's global. So all the spiritual truths are one. So you have to work with what works for your psychology and what works with your DNA. Okay, now here we are. So the definitions, the meaning of the cards, those basic definitions are there as grounding, as anchors, but attached to these anchors is information. Seaweed and barnacles and old fisher's nets and a few things living and growing on those chains from that anchor. Okay? And so you have this bridge, you have this psychic bridge. And all of a sudden, you're going to get deep insights. You're going to get, or I should even say shallow insights. You're going to get insights into your life, into your questions, and the cards might pop up in your head. And It pops up for a reason because it anchors the thought. It anchors the insight. It lodges it into your brain, changing it from energy, frequency, and intuition into logic, reason, and sensibilities, into creative images. You're using right and left hemisphere, fully functional, and the information sinks in. And you go, awesome. You can gather that. You can catch the wind. You can gather it. Symbol, and then you can write about it. Then you can speak about it. It was enough for your brain to catch it like a net. A broad, big idea. And so it's a communication device. So the other day, when working out some psychological stuff about humanity, why is everyone being destroyed by love? The devil card came up in my mind. And what's the sign of the devil but an inverted pentagram? And what does inverted mean? Turned upside down, flipped, reversed, perverted, twisted. So how did that relate to my questions and the thing I was into at the time? It related perfectly, and it matched perfectly with that card. So my own psychology cues up the card of the devil, and the word inverted cued up the card. And we are bought and sold the idea of love through social media, through tradition of what love looks like. It looks like marriage. It looks like commitment. It looks like loyalty. It looks like happily ever after. And that sounds like a contract. And that sounds like a death sentence. And that sounds like hell to me. And it's inverted to what love actually is. Love bombers, that's inverted love. People pleasing, inverted love. Giving to others, gifts, words of affirmations, quality, spending time together, all these gestures, all this doing. It's inverted love. And Western culture, modern culture is sold on that. It looks like a diamond ring. It looks like purchasing a meal together, That's not love. Love, if we could, is beyond that and so much more simple than that. So love in most of its forms seems like a doing, like you're trying to get love and you're looking for it and it has an expectation. And when we define it, then I'll know he loves me. And when we do this and this on my checklist, then I know he loves me. And after so much time together, and I have these kids in this house, and then I know I loved my life. And if I look this way, and if I speak this way, and if I'm accepted this way, and the world validates me, well, then that's love. No, that's inverted. That's codependent. That's the opposite of love. That is bondage. That is selling out. That is disassociation. That is fragmenting yourself because you're abandoning yourself. Real love looks quite different. Really. What does it look like? We don't see a lot of it. It looks like taking care of yourself, standing in your personal power, loving, appreciating, feeling grateful to be alive, doing what makes you happy. That's powerful. That turns into positive energy. And it just comes to you. That's what people mean by sitting in your femininity. It means owning your life. It means being grateful for who you are. It means noticing you. All this energy you've put out into the world and in others expecting to gain. As you do that, the irony, the paradox is you lose it all. You spent all that time taking care of your kids and now you're drained. Now you're old. Now you're dead. No one's going to your funeral. You put all your love and care into everything outside of you. then you feel full of resentment, you're a bitter person, and you're not attractive. If you would balance the scale and include you, wait a minute. The first person, the ultimate person is myself. Selfish, self-centered, yeah. Self back into center. Instead of pouring all out, put the water back in the pitcher. Get a refill. Put the water back in the cup. Start off being very self-centered. Center, aligned. When you're fully centered, you brought all your parts and pieces back. There's no more drama. Instant boundaries. That's love. Clarity. That's love. Fulfillment. Self-fulfillment. Being responsible for yourself. That's self-fulfillment. Self-fulfilled. I fill myself up with myself. You're full of yourself. Yeah. Now I radiate like the sun. Now I am appreciative. Now I'm a magnet and I get everything I want. The law of attraction, the law is fulfilled in being self-centered and fulfilled. The true meaning of love. And there's nothing to say. You have it all. You're fulfilled. I have all my parts and pieces back. I'm not projecting my trauma. I'm not projecting the glamour, the limerence. I'm not projecting parts and pieces. I'm not giving parts and pieces of myself away. Instead, I'm bringing it all back to center. The Sun card, I'm bringing it all back to center. Now I just am. I am that I am. When you are fulfilled and you did it yourself, everyone relaxes. They're like, I don't have to pay that guy a compliment. I don't have to validate him. I don't have to win the approval. I don't have to define everything. I'm just naturally drawn. It feels so right. This person can take care of themselves. I can relax. Now I can lighten up. I enjoy being around people who aren't codependent. So codependency is so ingrained in our culture. You can't feel resentment, disappointment, or upset. You can't feel victimized if you own your shit. Well, if I look at that shit, it looks painful and scary. You must be the devil. Don't force me to look at the truth. I'd rather blame you, damn you,